rule where if your wife gets placed somewhere to teach or in a different type of call at a church, then they try to make that same church your fieldwork church so that you two are not going opposite directions all the time. So we were placed at St. John in Ellisville, and there was where Pastor Ryan was serving. So I got the joy to serve with him as a field worker, but he also kind of one of your focuses, and I might get it wrong, but you were really attached to the school side.
Yeah, it was.
So he was kind of the pastor for the school. So my wife got a lot of really good time with him. And then after that, he was in Ann Arbor, at the University in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and now for 4 months.
Yeah, we moved here in June. Yeah, maybe it's been 4 months, 5. We bought a house a month ago.
There we go, yeah.
And the basement is under renovation right now, okay? And when I get home this afternoon, I'm going to be laying LVP flooring.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah,
wow.
Let's come home with me. Come on, yeah.
There is some talent in this room.
I'm not
so.
No, there's not talent. That's the problem.
So he's here now working at Concordia University St. Paul. A huge blessing for Concordia St. Paul. Before I turn it over to him, as I look back, I kind of go, what are some of the key lessons that God wanted to teach me with the different people that I got to meet and serve with, especially in those learning years, although every year's a learning year, right? But in that seminary time, and one thing that I learned from Pastor Ryan, so the church at St. John, Ellisville, and school were large church, lots of people every Sunday, and one thing I got to learn and see him do, and do well, was you could tell from the beginning, even in the midst of large, that relationships mattered to Pastor Ryan. And that he would spend time with people. Now, sometimes you did have to run because something was happening.
Had to get to Bible study.
Yeah, had to get somewhere. But relationships mattered, and he modeled that whether he's in the school or on the church side. And that was important for me to see. Somebody that I knew how busy they were and how much they prioritized relationships. So thankful for Pastor Ryan to be here. Let's start with the word of prayer, and then we'll turn it over. Dear gracious and heavenly Father, we give you thanks for Concordia University St. Paul and the blessing that it has been for many, many years, as it is a beacon for the gospel in St. Paul, as it shares the gospel with the multi-ethnic campus that you bless it with, but also, Lord, as it raises church workers for your congregations. We pray for Concordia St. Paul and for Pastor Ryan as they partner together in this new year, that you would continue to bring growth and joy as they do everything in the context of the Christian gospel. In your name we pray. Amen. And then one final announcement from me. So in a couple weeks here, there is an event. So on November 12th at the Kaler Grand Hotel, there is an event that CSP is hosting with a meal to give an update on what's happening at Concordia University St. Paul. Pastor Ryan will be there. President Friedrich will be there. And Anna and I are hosts for that event. So if anybody's looking for a date night or just a night out and want to hear a little bit more beyond this as they give a scope of where CSP is and where they feel like God is taking it, that's a good opportunity. Find me and I can give you one of these invites, and it gives you a little description of how to RSVP and when to do that by. Okay? All right, turn it over to Ryan.
Awesome. Thank you, Pastor Adam. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but truly would love to have all of you there. It really is going to be a wonderful night, a great night of community and celebration and just gathering together as we think about the future that God has planned for all of us. So, first of all, thanks for staying in this Bible study. As Pastor was listing off the different options, I thought, Well, I'm going to go to that one. I might go over to that one. So, I was not going to take it personally if half the room got up and, said they had to go to the bathroom all of a sudden or, wash their hair for a minute. So, I appreciate you being here. And, really, I want this to be an interactive time. I want this to be an opportunity really for you to ask questions. I'm mindful that this is your traditional Bible study hour, and so I don't want to give a CSP commercial. That's not the goal, okay? But really, the goal is to help you when you leave today to walk away with a greater understanding of how what we do and what you do as a local congregation connects with a much bigger kingdom vision for God's work in our world. Because I think for all of us, we understand that beyond Redeemer, God is doing mighty things in many pockets of our world, right? Because in Christ all things hold together. And because in Him all things hold together, whether it's the work you do in your calling, whatever your vocation might be, or whether it's intentionally education, like I get to serve in, or whether it's a local congregation like Redeemer, we are all connected in this important work. And so, speaking of education, my life has been deeply influenced by Christian education. I actually grew up in Wisconsin. I know, right? I know. I was like, do you say it? Do you not? Vikings already played this week. It's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy. JJ McCarthy is here in Minnesota because we're from, we were in Ann Arbor, and so we're happy he landed here. We think that was part of God's call to bring us here. When he was drafted, it was like, well, of course the Lord's calling, that direction. So, at least to make it easier for my girls, who had a crush on J.J. McCarthy. So, we're like, hey, we're going to Minnesota. Okay, J.J.'s there. So, made it a little easier. But actually, I am a Packer fan. See, even in a hostile crowd, there's a few. But grew up in the Wisconsin area, went to a Lutheran school, St. John's West Bend, K through 8, and then Milwaukee Lutheran High School. Following that, from there, when I was in the midst of a college search, like many people are at various points in their life, I actually thought I was going one direction, but the Lord, kind of in a fourth quarter change, led me another direction. And so did my undergrad at one of our Concordias, and then from there to Concordia Seminary, St. Louis, where I got to meet Pastor Adam and his wife, and many, many people down there. And then it was back in 2013 when God called us to Ann Arbor, Michigan. And so I do know Pastor Andy, whom you have called, because we were together in Ann Arbor. So had the opportunity to serve there until the Lord put us in a season of openness this past spring, and has led us now from Missouri, where our first call was, to Michigan, where our second call was, to Minnesota, where this call is. No, hold on. As I've learned in the Twin Cities, 3M. There it is. From Missouri to Michigan to Minnesota. God can do anything. I don't see Montana, but He can do anything. There'd have to be people there, but we're so glad to be here. And admittedly, trying to settle in to a new life. We have kids from junior in high school all the way down to third grade. Okay, so our kids are not as young as Pastor Adam's, although they're similar, boy, boy, girl, girl. Okay, just like that, boy, boy, girl, girl. So they will grow up. Yep, and they'll get bigger and stronger than you. Okay, it will happen because it happened in my life. So Lutheran education. Okay, been so blessed by it. Now here's what I want to tell you: it's not perfect. Okay, nor is Redeemer Lutheran perfect. And I tell parents all the time, Concordia is not perfect because we are led by simple and sinful people. And yet I do believe to my core that the mission that we have is a mission that matters. And especially in education today, with some of the challenges facing many schools, what God is doing amongst our Concordias and what I see firsthand right now at Concordia University, St. Paul, is truly remarkable. So I'm going to run through a couple things kind of to lay the groundwork, and then truly, along the way, if you're like, hey, what about this, or what about that, or, I have a granddaughter who's interested in this, do you have that, so on and so forth, please let's dialogue. Your coffee will taste much better, and it'll be more interesting if that's the case. So, this is our school theme. I just didn't come up with that theme for the message today, but this is actually our school theme here at CSP, chosen, at the end of last year, going into this year. This is what we're talking about, this is what our focus is, this is what we're reminding our students of, which truly is the heartbeat of CSP. And our mission is what distinguishes us. If you know the Twin Cities at all, you know that there are a lot of higher education opportunities in the Twin Cities. Okay? From CSP, I could run to Hamline University, McAllister, St. Kate's, St. Thomas, let's see, where else could I go? I could run to U of M, St. Paul College. I could, on a really long run, go to Bethel. Okay, I could run to Augsburg. I mean, you go to all these places, all in an afternoon, all within an hour or so. Okay, all within a few minutes of each other. So the Twin Cities do not lack for higher education. But let me just share this: Concordia is distinct. And it's not because we're the second largest private university in Minnesota. Okay? It's not because, of the number of students that we serve on our campus and online. It's because of this. It's because of our mission, because we prepare students for all of this within the context of the Christian gospel. We are faithful to our mission and committed to growing our university to serve more students in order to serve the world. We're both, okay? We've got neighbors on each side of us who are one or the other, okay? We're the only one who legitimately is both right now, okay? All right, so it's really, really remarkable to be a part of it. Now, we as an institution, we're of course led by Board of Regents, President. We have a strategic plan, so this is where we're going. Where is CSP going in the next 6 years? This was just adopted by our board in July. We call it Strategic Plan 2030. The last one was Strategic Plan 2024. It had an expiration date. That date has passed. Now it's 2030. So we're grounded in our mission with a vision, a promise, and, again, and this is a little unique in higher ed, a strong financial foundation. Okay? This is who we are. I see we have donuts today. Okay? All right? We got any circular donuts? Right in the heart. We are a diverse, Christ-centered community. This is who we are. This is who we're going to continue to be. But these are the three pillars of our strategic plan. To enroll by 2030 10,000 learners, to increase student graduation rates, and to deliver career-connected curriculum. Okay, this is what is driving the initiatives that are a part of CSP. And we're doing it all in this context. Okay, how many of you have been to the Concordia St. Paul campus? Okay, a number of you. If you haven't, but you're familiar with Twin Cities, you can figure out where we are. Okay, right off I-94. In fact, Concordia's original property, I learned, was where I-94 is. Okay, that's where the football field was. Before we had a football team, but that's where they would play football, right where I-94 is. So as I-94 was put in, we're both on the south side of 94 and on the north side. And I say on the north side because Reese Tower is a 9-story former medical office building that CSP purchased a number of years ago. And by the way, financial foundation, purchased with cash, okay, all right, in order to build out its health services and health sciences, physical therapy, kinesiology, an emerging PA program. So CSP is starting a PA program, first cohort in 2026. Of course, nursing in its many forms, accelerated formats, traditional formats, etc. That's all a part of Reese Tower. Okay, and then we lease out any floors we don't use. Okay, now when I was discerning the call to come to CSP, I'll just give you a little insight into my heart and my brain. Part of our tour was going to Reese Tower. and we went up to the 9th floor. And the 9th floor has some offices and a boardroom up there. And it was on that 9th floor when I looked to the west and saw downtown Minneapolis. And I looked to the east, saw downtown St. Paul. And I looked down, saw the CSP campus right here. I said, this is a place that can serve the world. Go therefore, make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. Surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Looking to the west, looking to the east, looking over it, we get to serve the world from St. Paul, Minnesota. In fact, our students come from all 50 states and 40 countries. Okay, so not quite the whole world, but making progress. Okay, making progress towards that. That number right there, what's that? What does that number mean? That is our fall census enrollment number. So universities measure enrollment in a lot of different ways. Kind of the classic way would be, what's your fall census? You pick a date, September 1st, whatever. And then every year on that date, whatever the head count is, that's your number. Others will do a cumulative enrollment, what is the total number of students served, unique learners within an academic year. This is our fall census, 5928. That represents, as I shared in my message, a record number of students for a fall census, which includes underneath that a record number of first-year students, traditional freshmen and transfer students together. We exceeded our goal by about 100 students there. Now, what's the problem with that? We had about 100 student waiting list to get into our residence halls. And so that's a challenge that we face as a university right now. Good problems to have, nevertheless problems, okay, right? You saw that our strategic plan calls for a goal of 10,000 learners by 2030. That number is 10,000 unique learners. So last year we served a little over 7,000 unique learners. Okay, so we are certainly en route towards making that. Though again, let's be real. Let's be really, really real. I was born on a Tuesday. It wasn't last Tuesday. I'm glad it's not Election Tuesday, okay, all right? But this is a tough higher ed environment. It's tough. Not every school will make it, okay? Many schools will cut. And so, we're not making these projections or these plans in a vacuum. We're doing it as a mission-driven but data-informed university. Okay, driven by our mission as a Christ-centered place. Let's talk church work for a little bit. Pastor Adam, you ever sit down after you've preached and say, I forgot to say this. I had that moment after the 8 o'clock service. I said, I didn't talk about our growing church work enrollment. Okay, so I will it for 1040, and now I'm going to tell all of you, okay? In the midst of this growth, okay, the celebration is actually that our church work enrollment continues to rise, okay? We are a part of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod's initiative called Set Apart to Serve. But for us, okay, we, for the first time since 2012, have over 100 students in our church work programs, okay? Now, when you put that number in the midst of a larger number, it's like, that's not very many, okay? But progress is being made. 4 years in a row, that number has increased, which means that, if you know colleges at all, that senior class is actually pretty small, okay? So we're praying as we continue to recruit for this upcoming year that number will continue to grow in the years ahead. Why? The answer is why. Why is this happening to us and not other Concordias right now? A couple reasons. Number one, we have remarkable faculty. Remarkable theology faculty. Dr. Reed Lessing is the pre-seminary director at CSP. He was our seminary professor, okay? And now he's directing the program at CSP. We just posted for another theology position. Due to the generosity of our donors, both of our New Testament and Old Testament positions are endowed chairs, which speaks to the priority of it within the life of the university. And we have what's called a church work tuition guarantee. So we are the most affordable option amongst all the Concordias, okay? By far, actually. Pre-seminary students pay $0 in tuition. Pre-deaconess pay $0 in tuition. Other church work programs pay a cap of $6,000. And that doesn't even include if, someone came from Redeemer and Redeemer said, we want to give, $1,500 to support this student. That's called stackable aid. So that would go on top of what that person would pay. Lessening that amount, it could go towards room and board, etc. You say, how do you make that work? Numbers guy, okay? And I say, it takes a whole church to raise up church workers. And so, the generosity of our donors, and we are inviting more to be a part of that, to support CSP and to support church work growth is really, really important. It's really important. We need to continue to close that gap for our students. Concordia is a very affordable school. Concordia did a tuition reset back in 2012, okay? But has remained the most affordable option, considered the #1 value among private universities in the state of Minnesota. We are thankful to God for that, and by God's grace and the community of God's people, that can continue. But it takes all of us. It takes the whole church to raise church workers. Yes?
Say one thing and then you can get a drink of your coffee.
Yeah, thanks, man. I kept eyeing it.
So yeah, as he says that number for church work, so if you're a seminary deaconess, 0. If you're going into any other one, it's 6,000. So if you know somebody that's interested in church work, I'm under the microphone. If you know somebody that's interested in church work, here at Redeemer, because of the generosity of this congregation, we give out at least 6 $4,000 scholarships a year.
That's remarkable.
And we've now in the last 3 or 4 years been not just waiting to give them out to Redeemer people. So we have raised up 6 or 7 church workers in the last 12 years from Redeemer, but we've been giving them beyond us as well. So people from other places will apply for those. So if you know somebody here or outside of that is thinking about going that way. I had this conversation with one of our members who's at least thinking DCE. He's like, it's a lot of money. I was like, dude, I'm going to take the money question off the table, all right? Because if you go to be a DC at $6,000, so you're only going to pay $1,000 a semester for your tuition with the Redeemer scholarship. So, and then I told them, and I will put in $500 of my own money, so now it's even lower. But yeah, so there's generosity here too as we partner together. So know that as we talk these awesome numbers.
Well, that's incredible. And so let me not say another word, but thank you, because your generosity, your commitment, and your partnership in that, you're modeling what we would pray for all congregations. Truly. You are modeling it right here. And you're to be commended and thanked for that. So thank you very, very much for doing that. And it's one reason why, for us at CSP, we kind of step back and say, God, for such a time as this, you're putting people and congregations and others in places so that your church might continue to be a beacon of hope and a beacon of light in our dark and oftentimes hopeless world. So thank you for doing that. Our pre-sem students they're coming from all over the place too. This is what's really cool. A lot of our students come from Minnesota, okay? But certainly not all of them, right? And that's true of our pre-seminary students. So we want to keep getting the word out about our church work tuition guarantee. At the end of the day, it's Concordia and its partners putting their money where their mouth is, to say this really matters to us, we're prioritizing it, we want to move forward with it. This is a picture, actually I used this in my message, but this is the chapel at CSP, and I just love this picture because our campus pastor, Pastor Tom Gunderman, you're going to see right there, upper right, he says that CSP is a campus of countless crosses, and having served and been at many Concordias, visiting or serving in my life. That's so true. Man, you walk around that campus, cross. I mean, they're all over the place, right? And it's just, you can't go very far at CSP and realize what a special, unique campus it is. So, that's on the front end. When you're at CSP, okay, it's just good for you to know in case people ever ask you. Our students have the opportunity to grow in faith as we integrate faith and learning regularly. 10 chapel services weekly, okay? Are they required? No. Some schools, you sign a statement of faith, okay? I'm going to go to chapel 3 times a week. If not, I'm going to have to meet with the dean of students. He's going to kick me out of school, Okay, we don't have that, okay? You can come or not come. Okay? But we want to create an environment that invites students to be a part of it. So Monday through Friday in the mornings, we have a morning chapel. And then the reason there's 10, and I used to be a campus pastor, so I get this. Students don't hang out in the mornings much, as they tend to in the late afternoon and into the evening. So, if you're ever in the Twin Cities about 10 p.m., please come by campus, okay? Because there'll be a service that's happening there, and really, really remarkable what God's doing there. Bible study, spiritual care. Anna is a partner in ministry with Pastor Tom. And then we do have a lot of students in Portland. Okay, Portland, Oregon. We have a number of students, nursing students that are there. In fact, depending on how you count the numbers, Concordia St. Paul prepares more nurses in the state of Oregon than any other school. How's that for a mind-blowing stat? Okay, all right. So we have a part-time ministry associate out there as well. Speaking of kind of CSP, I referenced Portland. Okay, so organizationally, we think about Concordia St. Paul as CSP, which is our traditional undergraduate on-campus stuff, right? Everything else is CSP Global. So when you think of the kind of traditional 19-year-old who graduated high school and is going to college, that's CSP. When you think about the 37-year-old working mom with 2 kids, going back to school or going to school for the first time, that's CSP Global. And we serve both because we believe that our Christ-centered education should be available and accessible to all people who want to be a part of it. And so I don't want to gloss over this and be like, oh, that doesn't apply. It actually applies to a lot of us when we think about, upskills, when we think about next steps, when we think about people we know who say, I could never either go to school, go back to school, I can't afford it, my season of life. All of that is very legitimate and every situation is different. However, okay, if we can have a conversation, right, through what we do, we're finding that students are experiencing a Concordia education in a lot of different ways. So CSP, as a glance, second largest private university in Minnesota. What's the largest? St. Thomas, I think I heard it over there. Yep, University of St. Thomas, right down the road. So they're about 10,000-ish students, maybe a little less than that. 30% of our students are CSP, 70% CSP Global. All in, we have a faculty of about 100 full-time faculty, 300 adjuncts called contracted faculty of practice, 150 staff. My observation, I'm a new guy to the CSP team. CSP they are wise stewards of resources. Okay, when you look at those numbers, head count, and number of faculty staff for the number of degrees we offer, we are a lean, mean fighting machine. Okay, all right, there is not a frivolous place, I can tell you that. And it really kind of embraces the heartbeat of what we believe God has called us to do. I know that's small, but I'm sharing it as we think about CSP and then CSP Global. Our fastest growing programs in CSP Global, healthcare, business, education, and technology fields. Okay, those are the big ones for CSP Global right now. So, if there's someone here that wants to, again, going to nursing, depending on what your past background is, if you have a bachelor's degree already, we can do an accelerated, RN, or we can do a traditional online BSN. I mean, so there's a lot of options for people as they think about their own future. This just gives you the last 40 years of enrollment growth and where it's been over the past 40 years. Most colleges don't look like this, okay? And now let's just let me wrap up with a couple of ones, and then we'll have some good time for some Q&A. That's all good, but a university is about people, okay? And university only exists when we have students. One of the things that I'm enjoying already and seeing, and I've seen this elsewhere, but I'm seeing it at CSP too, the number of students that are involved in different parts of campus life. Visual and performing arts, whether it's band, choir, ensembles, theater, okay? I'm gonna invite you to our upcoming musical, okay, as a part of what we're doing today. Visual arts. This right here is Buteau Auditorium, about a 300-seat auditorium. Just a marvelous place. Athletics. We are NCAA Division II, okay? So we are the only Division II school in the Twin Cities. A lot of the other universities that I mentioned, of course you have your D1s, U of M, St. Thomas is actually Division I. Everyone else is Division III, okay? So Augsburg, Bethel, etc. We're NCAA Division II, we play in the Northern Sun, so like Winona State, Mankato, Duluth, some of the big ones, right? We're competing against them, Moorhead, etc. But we do quite well. In fact, when you were there, were you there during the volleyball run, Pastor Adam?
I got to be in Kansas for the volleyball team's first of 7 national championships.
Yeah, our volleyball team is remarkable, ranked nationally. I don't know what our current ranking is, certainly in the top 15 right now.
They're on a 10-win winning streak.
10 match winning streak right now. Yes. Peaking at the right time. But additionally, beyond volleyball, of course, we have football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, swimming and diving, women's lacrosse. So we've got 9 women's teams, 6 men's team, and then a co-ed esports club. So, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. I love athletics, and it is just fun to cheer on the Golden Bears. It's fun. In fact, yesterday morning I had the opportunity to address the football team and lead their chapel service before their football game yesterday. Just great to be with students and encouraging them with the Word. Yeah, Pastor Adam.
Give you one fun fact, then you can have another drink of your coffee.
Yeah, thanks.
Fun fact about my wife, Anna. So when we were at Concordia St. Paul, she was, for like a year and a half, she was Comet. She dressed up as Comet, and the first time she came to a volleyball game, she walked in as Comet, and then me and...
Is that where you fell in love with her?
That was already hooked. Well before then. But she walked in, and me and a couple of my guy friends just started laughing. We're like, we gotta fix this, because she comes in and Comet, and then Comet had no shoulders. So we took her back and we stuffed Comet on the shoulders with pillows, so Comet would come back in looking big and tough. But for a year and a half, she was Comet, the bear.
That's remarkable. I had no idea. So we are the Golden Bears. Comet is our mascot because prior to Concordia St. Paul going Division II, about 25 years ago, they were NAIA, and the mascot was the Comets. So for much of Concordia's history, we've been the Comets, okay? And then just more recently became the Golden Bears, okay? Just a quick note on finances, and I'll tell you why I'm sharing this with you. So, $92 million fiscal year budget. We have an endowment of $61 million, cash reserves of $22, and long-term debt of $11. All of that is for one residence hall. Okay, so we're just paying that off every month and every year, and that's all good. We actually have the lowest debt out of any of our Concordia schools. Okay, any of the sister schools, CSP has the lowest debt. The reason I share that is because I want you to know CSP has been here 132 years. And by God's grace and with His blessing, we pray for more. Okay, all right? We pray that we continue to maintain a strong place and that we continue to have the ability to serve students with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay, that's why that matters. Not because building barns matters, because we know from Jesus clearly it doesn't. Okay? But what matters is the opportunity to serve people in many, many ways. Speaking of facilities, for those of you that have been on our campus, we're pretty landlocked. Okay? You can't do much about I-94. All right? However, with that, here's our approach with facilities. Expand and extend, fully utilize, and then acquire property as we can and as needed, but as wise stewards. Okay? So, there is some industrial area just to the west of some of our fields that little by little, okay, we can get a couple acres here, get this here, etc. But CSP is not the place where we're going to just, tear down, this particular building to build a brand new whatever. We're going to extend and expand the life of our facilities in the most responsible way that we possibly can. Okay? It is expensive to do anything these days, am I right? I'm finishing a basement right now. Okay? All right? There's a reason I'm laying the LVP flooring. Okay? It's because my wife said we're going to lay this stuff, right? And saving a lot of money doing that, right? So we want to take that kind of mindset, as stewards of the resources God has given to us in our approach with Concordia St. Paul. And of course, our Portland location, we do not own anything there. Okay, we lease space, 2 places in Portland actually, for our school of nursing out there. A couple of quick capital improvements. So we are continuing to invest in what God has given to us. What you see there is not yet what is. Okay. But God willing, in the next couple of months, that's what it'll look like. Okay, because steel is up, windows are not. Okay, but we've come out of the ground. 2 places on our campus. The Welcome Center, actually, the Martin Luther statue is just off that picture because it's right up there. Okay, right up there. And then on the other corner of our campus, in order for our campus to be more accessible for all people, we're adding elevators in these places and really giving kind of a new front door. Elevators? Oh my goodness, are elevators expensive? They sure are. You could build a house for what you put an elevator in. So these are some of the improvements that are being made on our campus even as we speak. All of this is a part of what we call right now Elevate the Promise. And Elevate the Promise is, for us, a 7-year comprehensive campaign whereby we're focusing on student scholarships, growing our opportunity fund, which is our unrestricted fund in order to just serve students, endowments, academic programs, for example, starting the new PA program, and then finally what you just saw, a few modest capital improvements. Okay, this is all part of our campaign that we're in right now. It's actually a $55 million campaign. By God's grace, right now we are at just north of $43 million that has been either raised or pledged, and we have about 2.5 years to go in the campaign. And so all gifts collected during this time go towards this Elevate the Promise campaign, because we make a promise to our students, okay? And we know that our students have potential and they have promise. So we want to help our students fulfill the promises that they are going to make to the world and that they're going to live out. And so we're just really excited. We're thankful for what God's doing in that. And so part of my role, of course, is being a messenger to continue to advance the mission that God has given us at CSP. In congregations, with friends of the university, meeting new friends of the university. Relationships matter. And so, it's a joy to be here today to share this with you. To be back November 12th, you get the A-team then. President Friedrich will be here for that. Okay, you get the B team today, all right? So, please come on November 12th to hear my much better boss, President Friedrich, share. But this is all a part of our Elevate the Promise campaign. Speaking of events, okay, I told you I wanted to invite you to some stuff. Truly, November 12th is free. And I'm new to Minnesota, I'm new to Rochester. It's at the Kaler Grand, and parking is complimentary. Okay, and it's on the invitation, which must mean that usually normally you pay to park, huh? Not on November 12th, you don't. Okay, all right. So please join us. Hear more about CSP. Connect with other friends in the Rochester area. We're inviting alumni and friends of the university. You're all friends of the university. You all partner with us. The commitment of this congregation makes you all friends of this university. And then actually, that's a busy week. Wow. Anastasia, the musical, is then happening in our theater that weekend. You can go online to find out more about that. We have a Reformation lecture that we do every year with Dr. Scott Keith this year. That'll be remarkable. That's on that Thursday night. See, I'm planning your social calendar. Okay, all right. And then we all have a lot of things to do in the month of December. But wouldn't you want to come to Concordia St. Paul Christmas? Okay, so December 7th and 8th, choirs, all of our ensembles will be a part of that. A lot of things. I saw some of you taking pictures of that screen. Okay, so a lot of good things going on there. I referenced this. This is actually what the invitation looks like at the Kaler Grand, 5:30 to 7:30 that night. And then shows you how to RSVP for that. You can talk to Pastor Adam or Anna about that as well. Final slide, and then let's have some conversations. So a lot of people will say to me, okay, cool, great. What can we do? What can we do to help? Please join us in prayer. Like we prayed today, I would invite you to join us in prayer for our students, for our community, for the partnership that we share in the gospel. Send us students. If you have people, sons, daughters, grandkids, I talked to some folks after the service already. Come check out CSP. Some people write off, when they get to that level of education, write off private institutions. I can't afford that. Okay? Don't be shocked by the sticker price. Okay? Did you see everything I said about church work tuition guarantee? Okay? If we move into another field, again, go through the process, because there's a reason Concordia is rated as a top value school. Trust us. Go through that process and see what's possible. And then finally, to help us realize our mission, your engagement today is a part of that. If you want to come on November 12th, we certainly would welcome you and would love for you to join us there. Thank you for your support through what you already do and through the door offering, which will go to support church work, scholarships at CSP. All of that is a part of us doing this together. I've said plenty, and I am still preaching one more service, so I shouldn't say much more. But I do want to answer your questions, okay? I do want to answer your questions of anything that you're wondering about, either something I shared or maybe didn't share that you wish I had shared, a question that you'd want to ask for someone else. What are you wondering about? Yes, sir.
You mentioned you wanted to increase your graduation rate. What's your graduation rate?
Yeah, you know what? Part of this is going to be me saying I'm really the new guy, so I got to keep learning all those pieces. But our current graduation rate, I want to say, don't quote me on the exact number, is around 60-ish%. Okay, so we want to increase that number. Yep. And there are different ways to measure graduation rate. You can do 4-year graduation rate, 6-year graduation rate. But we know that for us, when a student comes to CSP, again, life can happen, circumstances can happen, but as much as is possible, we want to help that student and that family get to where they want to be. Okay? And so that stuff, the heartbeat behind increasing graduation rates. Yes?
I don't have a question, but I just want to do a testimonial. I had, 20 years ago, I got my master's degree, and my husband, a few years later, got his master's degree from Concordia St. Paul.
Wonderful.
And they were the most inspiring, wonderful educational experiences we've ever had.
Wow.
And very affordable.
Wow.
Even back then, so.
Wow.
We did the online, not the.
Sure, yeah, CSP Global.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Before it was called CSP Global, you were a part of CSP Global. That's amazing. Yeah, please write that down. That's powerful. Yeah, thank you.
I'm just curious, do you ever have a student enroll that doesn't know Jesus?
The answer is yes, absolutely. Because students don't sign the statement of faith, like at other universities, our students come from a wide variety of backgrounds. And that includes religious backgrounds. So the answer is yes. Concordia students in our traditional undergrad programs take 2 religion classes, minimum of 2 religion classes. And so think about it this way. That's a minimum of 45 hours over the course of a semester in Christian faith or the Bible, whatever the class might be, where they can engage in conversation. And we don't know how all those seeds planted will bear fruit, but I often think when you serve at a place like CSP, it's the parable of the sower every single day. 100% parable of the sower every single day. So yes, the answer is yes. In fact, a student was just baptized at Concordia last week. Yep. So it happens. I've seen it a lot in my life. Yeah, good question. Yes, sir.
I guess I'm concerned about the enrollment. We've done free tuition. I don't need a microphone.
Try.
Well, our grandson is graduating from St. Louis, from the seminary in April.
Wonderful. First call then.
Yes.
Yeah.
60 graduates. And I don't know how many were in your class, Pastor. I don't know.
97.
I had 150.
Well, where'd the enrollment go?
Yep.
We've done the free tuition.
Yep.
Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Rochester Central Lutheran School. We started the school year with 440 students.
Wonderful.
Now, who from Concordia is going to talk to us?
Yeah.
Pastor Adam and I, a few years ago, did the precinct interview at Concordia St. Paul. We didn't have big numbers because we went several months without graduates. So the question is, what's the carrot out here
Yeah.
to get the people to come, to learn more about Christ?
Yeah, excellent question. And your passion is shared by us at CSP too, which is why, again, it takes a whole church to raise up church workers. And
the community needs to be more included.
well, I think that what my role is a new role at CSP, okay, in church engagement and church relations, so that this message can go out. And part of my role will include being in high schools, okay, being in other spaces and places where people are, because we need to turn that tide, okay? And part of turning that tide, we'll do what we can do, and what we can do is we can have a great faculty, and we can have a church work tuition guarantee to make, to move things in the right direction. 4 years ago at CSP, there was only a handful of pre-seminary students. Now there's over 40. Okay, so things can turn, okay, but we need to keep turning them, okay? So there's certainly not a carrot, but there are multiple things that, depending on where you are, who you are, what resources God has given you, we can all be involved in that. And again, what Redeemer is doing is already commendable, okay? And you help to make it possible for those people. But we need to continue to do more. And let's not negate the first point. It's quick to jump to solutions, but let's do both, right?
And another thing with that, I have a sign on my door because it's in my office. It's a constant reminder to me. So Pew Research and Barna teamed up together and they put out a study, and I've said this before in this place, but 75% of kids age 18 to 26 actually end up not going back to church when they leave their households. So this study was, I don't want to know why the 75% left. I want to know what was unique about the 25% that stayed and what the families and the households and the communities were doing. And I think that's a reminder because it plays into all of this too of what are we changing and adapting as a church and in our families with what we prioritize to make sure the next generation is not just hearing the faith, but I like to say the next generation is not the future of the church. They're the church with us today. So how are they getting even some leadership opportunities now? So all those things play hand in hand. But yeah, I got some ideas for you if you ever want to talk RCLS and connections of good places to be visible.
Yes. No, that would be helpful. And at this point, I don't know what I don't know, being new to Minnesota. So I'm grateful for all of that. Thank you. Yeah, very good. Any other questions? Otherwise, I don't know what the normal protocol is here, Pastor Adam, time-wise, and
you got 5 minutes.
Got 5 minutes, okay. Oh.
There's a bell, that's the normal protocol.
Oh, really? Okay, there's a bell, wow.
Go.
Yeah, that's impressive. Good, yes.
Is Concordia the only one in Minnesota that's tuition free?
So for church work students preparing for pastoral ministry, that's what that church work tuition guarantee is. So zero tuition for pre-seminary and pre-deaconess programs at CSP. So it's not a blanket free tuition, but I would sure think it's the only one.
Wall doesn't offer that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Not there, I don't know. Yeah. So of course, Martin Luther College is New Ulm, and then you've got places like Bethany and Mankato. But I have no idea what their tuition structure is.
But yeah, as you think about CSP, maybe just a good reminder too of yes, we need to encourage and send people into church work, and CSP is a phenomenal place to go.
Yeah.
But also, if you have people, like last year there was a family here, and the daughter was like, I'm trying to decide where to go to school, and I'm going to go into nursing. And then she sat here in President Friedrich's things like, oh, I could go to a Lutheran school with a great foundation that has a phenomenal nursing program, and then one day come back and use that maybe even here. So think of those other places too. Or I was at the park a couple months ago pushing my daughter on the swing, and I had a CSP shirt, and the lady that's pushing her daughter on the swing's like, hey, I'm one of the the CFP or whatever, the professors for the ortho program. And I do CSP Global, and I work at Lim Lab, and we all know at Lim Lab. So, I mean, there are those other routes too. So be aware, business, technology, medical field, there are some great routes there.
And who knows what is to come, right? As our world continues to change, we're going to be sensitive to market demands and what we can do, right? Like people say, does CSP have an engineering school? We don't. Should we? I don't know. We don't right now, okay? I'm not saying we ever will, but those are the questions that we're constantly asking. And quick testimony, my wife did not grow up Lutheran, okay? Came to Concordia because of the nursing program, because she could play basketball and volleyball, and it was close to home. And that kind of trifecta led her to Concordia, led her to actually then through the classes there, she actually became Lutheran, okay? We met, and we're living 21 years later with 4 kids, okay? Yeah, and she's a nurse, came to the nurse, and again, for those of you healthcare. Passed the NCLEX on her first time. Like, boom. She was well prepared. And that's the thing. Like, you're not sacrificing the education by going here versus, somewhere else. You can have both. Yeah, good. Well, thank you so much. Again, what an honor to be here and a privilege. Thanks for your engagement. And again, thank you for your continued prayers and support on behalf of CSP. So, thanks, Pastor Adam.
Well, God's blessings, everyone. So next week, I'll be leading Bible study down here, and we'll be looking at some specific awesome promises of Jesus that gives us hope even as we grieve those we lost on All Saints' Day. So looking forward to that time with you.